From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you into this Friday's edition of For the People on a November the 3rd, 2017. It's wheels up for Donald Trump. He is going on a 11-day, they said 10-day, but 11 days, spending an extra day, apparently in Hawaii, or at first it was the Philippines, but it's 11 days altogether. It's a big trip, and we got a few things to talk about regarding that trip, actually, maybe more than just a few, so you're going to have to hold it to me, but this was some of the sound. Of course, reporters were able to get a few questions to the president this morning before taking off.
Staying an extra day in the Philippines. We have a big conference, a second conference, and I think we're going to have great success. We'll be talking about trade. We'll be talking about, obviously, North Korea. We'll be enlisting the help of a lot of people and countries. We'll see what happens, but I think we're going to have a very successful trip. There's a lot of goodwill. I don't remember much about that meeting. It was a very unimportant meeting. Took place for a long time. Don't remember much about it. All I can tell you is this. There was no collusion. There was no nothing. It's a disgrace, frankly, that they continue. You ought to look at Hillary Clinton, and you ought to look at the new book that was just put out by Donna Brazil, where she basically bought the DNC and she stole the election from Bernie. So that's what you ought to take a look at. What we're doing is every time we're attacked from this point forward, and it took place yesterday, we are hitting them 10 times harder. So when we have an animal do an attack like he did the other day on the west side of Manhattan, we are hitting them 10 times harder. They claimed him as a soldier. Good luck. Every time they hit us, we know it's ISIS. We hit them like you folks won't believe. Thank you. I will see you in Pearl Harbor. We're going to Pearl Harbor.
And off the president
I don't
goes.
know. I'm really not involved with the Justice Department. I'd like to let it run itself. But honestly, they should be looking at the Democrats. They should be looking at Podesta and all of that dishonesty.
Hey, there you go.
They should be looking at a lot of things. And a lot of people are disappointed in the Justice Department, including me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I just love how the president just kind of puts like a coach of a charge under all the branches of government. I mean, wow. I mean, it is definitely different language that the press, politicians, they just don't know what to make of this president because he hits back so hard, so fast. And again, I know it ruffles people's feathers. It drives people crazy. Because we've had Barack Obama for 8 years, the smooth talker. He was awesome as far as his words went and how he used them, polished. But what happened is kind of that big mystery. Well, we know what happened. Policies failed. He pacified people and emboldened our enemies. And, kowtowed to the left, which is Hollywood. And now we know what's been going on in Hollywood, or Hollyweird, with all these sexual revelations that have come out, that they've been real busy in between each scene, apparently. Like I say, this stuff is not new to me. The president's trip is very important. Some people say, well, is there anything going to be accomplished? Is this really necessary for the president to come? Yes, yes, and yes. And some of the very top ones, just off the top, before we get to CNN's report, because they have really an interesting take. And I have to show you the disparity between, conservatism and liberalism, and the optimism of the Republican Party and conservative ideals and ideas. You will see this, and it's just alarming, but I have to point it out. It's just unbelievable. On the precipice, this, I got to tell you, I'm rattled because this trip is monumental in so many different respects. We have never been so close to nuclear war than we have been since the Soviet Union, with the missile crisis in Cuba when Kennedy was president. That is going to be one of the main talking points on how they can denuclearize North Korea. That is on the top of a lot of people's minds. We've been talking about EMP and such. But the president's trip is going to focus on three goals: national security. The National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster. Yesterday, you may have seen the speech as he was telling reporters during a White House press briefing, talking about strengthening international resolve. One, to denuclearize North Korea. Second, promote a free and open Indo-Pacific region. And third, advance American prosperity through fair and free trade and an economic practice, which has not been benefiting America. President Trump will reiterate the plan, the facts of North Korea and how they threaten not just our allies, South Korea, Japan, and the U.S., but McMaster said it's also a threat to the entire world. So McMaster's is coming along for the trip and will continue to call on all responsible nations, especially those with the most influence over North Korea. Who do you think that is? Obviously, China. And Trump is going to be going to Hawaii. That's where he's heading first. And he's going to be going to Pearl Harbor. And, of course, where the USS Arizona shipwreck, which sunk during World War II with many souls aboard, still believed to be enshrined in that. Pretty humbling if you ever go to Hawaii to make sure that you make it a point to stop there. To me, it's kind of like going to Arlington Cemetery in some ways. It's hard to believe that these history event, these things happened. And you talk to people that have been alive that long, but if you were born before these events, you just see it on newsreels, the old black and white films. And old timers that were there and had friends aboard or just witnessed it, remembered it, and some remember it just like yesterday. It's really interesting when you talk to somebody it's been in war, fought. It's just, the clarity is amazing. They can recall it as like it was yesterday. But because, they didn't have a name for PTSD, but, you got to figure people that fought in these wars suffered from those particular things, night terrors and all these other things keeping people up at night. I mean, it was pretty bloody stuff. All right, let's get into CNN. This is just staggering, but here we go. It pains me to be able to do this, but I got to tell you, CNN has an uncanny ability to put their columnist on the job right away. Stephen Colosson from CNN, he writes, President Donald Trump is headed to Asia. His political troubles are coming along for the ride. Trump leaves Friday on his most critical foreign trip yet to confront rising fears of a U.S. war with North Korea and increasing bullish China and perceptions that the U.S. power has ebbed in the region since he took office. But he will struggle to escape problems haunting his presidency back home, including Robert Mueller's special counsel probe and his low approval ratings and his failure so far to enact major legislation. On the eve of departure, the pressure now bearing down on Trump's inner circle intensified when it emerged that Mueller has now begun asking about his son-in-law, Jared Kushner's role in the firing of former FBI Chief James Comey, one possible avenue of an obstruction of justice investigation. The controversy and chaos that has rocked Trump's Washington is being closely watched around the world and could influence not just how the president is perceived by foreigners, but could affect his leverage in summit talks. It is crap like this. It's crap that they spew like this that goes around the world. And if anybody minimizes the presidency at CNN, ABC, CBS, the major liberal networks make America look bad. They are the ones that certainly are not in favor of Donald Trump and anything that he's doing. They put out a few facts that it's an important trip, and then because of all these things that are going on, and mind you, there has been no collusion with Donald Trump at all. Nothing's been found. Kushner, call on Kushner. No collusion there has been found as well. All these claims are unsubstantiated. Now, what Mueller did, what his associate did before getting involved with Donald Trump, that's other news. That's good. That's bad news for Mueller. Bad news for them, but for Donald Trump, unscathed. It's not affecting him. What's worse is the DNC's news, but they're not reporting it. Oh, yeah, bombshell after bombshell about the influence of how the DNC ruined Bernie Sanders and committed illegal acts. And everybody assumed it, but now it's been verified. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is the propaganda. These are the takeout pieces that CNN loves to point out. Donald Trump's low approval ratings. If there's more indictments or breaks in the Mueller inquiry in the 12 days he's away, they will be sure to overshadow the critical goals of his trip and paint a picture of a president that's inept and shadowed by scandal. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Donald Trump is the president of the most powerful country with the biggest military, most powerful military, largest economy in the world. What in the hell are you talking about? What in the hell are you talking about? America didn't have much influence during Barack Obama. You didn't build it. Let somebody else lead. You didn't build it. That's what he did for 8 years. They are taking Donald Trump seriously. China's listening to the United States. World leaders are listening to the United States. NATO's listening. The United Nations listening. Loud and clear. They're ponying up, paying up for the first time in many decades to the United Nations and NATO. Because what Donald Trump does is what others didn't. He holds people accountable. And by the way, CNN, he holds you accountable too. Unfortunately, there's snowflakes that believe this crap. That he's an inept president, he's under siege, he's under investigation, he colluded with the Russians. I've heard people from the left, the reason that he doesn't want to say anything about Russia is because of all his businesses and buildings over there. First of all, even if he did have buildings over in Russia, who cares? Who cares? I don't care, personally. I've heard the left say Donald Trump is still running the Trump Organization. Yeah, that's what Donald Trump's doing. He's up. Hey, how's that hotel doing? What's front desk? How many guests did we have?
In order to complete this call.
Yeah, Donald Trump's not doing that. His sons are running it. His company's running it, and it's doing just fine.